Number 1. 1964 Chevrolet Chevelle, priced at $3,800 US. Now this one is not your typical turnkey classic, this is a project with serious old-school potential. A 1964 Chevelle Malibu, originally a factory 4-speed car with a 10-bolt posy rear end. That right there already makes it interesting for muscle car fans. Finished in blue, the body is described as fair overall, but yes, it does have rust. The good news? The floors and trunk are said to be decent and reparable without full replacement, and the frame is in good condition. That's important, because solid bones make all the difference in a restoration or drag build. Now let's be clear, this car is being sold as a roller. No engine, no transmission, no interior, no bumpers, no title, and no VIN tag. What you see is what you get. But for the right buyer, that's not a problem, that's an opportunity. With around 100,000 miles on the chassis, this Chevelle could become an excellent drag car project. Drop in a small block or big block, pair it with a strong transmission, and you've got the foundation for a serious straight-line machine. Or, if you're feeling ambitious, this could be the start of a full ground-up restoration. At just $3,800 US, you're basically buying a solid platform with factory 4-speed heritage and a posy rear end. It's not for everyone, but for builders and classic muscle enthusiasts, this could be a fun challenge. Alright, let's roll into the next classic. Number 2, 1977 Chrysler New Yorker Coupe, priced at $5,000. This is late 70s American luxury in its purest form. Big, bold, and unapologetically massive. Finished in white over white, this New Yorker Coupe has that classic landyacht presence that just commands attention wherever it goes. Under the hood sits the original 440 cubic inch V8, and that's the real story here. A big block Chrysler motor that delivers smooth, effortless torque. It runs and moves, although it's been sitting for about a year, so it's not exactly road ready at the moment. Still, hearing a 440 rumble to life is something special. What really makes this car stand out is the mileage, just over 27,000 original miles. That's incredibly low for a 1977 model. Even more impressive, it's never been repainted or restored. What you're seeing is honest, original condition. The interior is said to be fully intact. No rips in the seats, no cracks on the dash, just aged leather that could likely be revived with some dye work. That's a huge plus for a car of this era. There is some rust on the lower doors and parts of the floor, so it's not perfect. But structurally, it's described as all there. On the road, once sorted, this thing would float. Smooth automatic transmission, big block torque, soft suspension, it's more about cruising comfortably than carving corners. This is the kind of car you drive slow. Windows down, just soaking in that vintage American luxury vibe. As a restoration project, this is a very solid candidate. With low mileage, original drivetrain, and complete trim, you're starting with a strong foundation. Address the rust, refresh the mechanicals, and you could have a seriously cool survivor-style cruiser. At $5,000, it's an affordable entry into big block luxury from the golden era of oversized American coupes. Alright, let's move on to the next classic. Number 3. 1988 Pontiac Fiero Formula, priced at $5,500. 1988 Pontiac Fiero Formula, priced at $5,500. Now this is where things get interesting. The 1988 Fiero Formula was already the best handling version of the Fiero lineup, but this one? It's been taken to another level. Under the rear deck sits a supercharged 3800 V6 pulled from a 97-03 Grand Prix GTP, and that completely changes the personality of this car. From the outside, it's finished in burgundy, still rocking that sharp late 80s wedge shape. The chassis has around 137 to 138k miles, while the swapped engine is believed to have about 160k. It runs and drives great, and according to the seller, it's an absolute blast behind the wheel. What makes this build cool is that it still keeps the factory 5-speed manual transmission. So you've got a lightweight mid-engine platform paired with a torquey, supercharged V6 and a stick shift. That's a recipe for serious fun. There's a smaller pulley installed, new rear bushings, and new rear tires, which tells you someone has been dialing this thing in. It's not perfect, though. The front manifold gasket leaks a bit on cold start. It needs a proper tune, currently running on a base tune, and the speedometer isn't working. A C is bypassed, but the parts to convert it back are included. So really, it just needs some finishing touches. On the road, expect sharp handling thanks to the 88 suspension upgrades and strong mid-range pull from that supercharged setup. It's the kind of car that feels raw, mechanical, and engaging, not overly refined, but full of character. As a project, this is more of a finalize and enjoy build rather than a full restoration. The hard work, the engine swap, is already done. Clean up the tune, fix the small issues, and you've got a seriously quick, unique 80s sports car. At $5,500 OBO, it's a pretty affordable way to get into a swapped, mid-engine manual performance car that stands out at any car meet. Alright, let's move on to the next classic. Number 4, 1976 Pontiac Trans Am, priced at $3,500. 1976 Pontiac Trans Am, priced at $3,500. Black, aggressive, and pure 70s attitude. This 76 Trans Am comes with a 350 V8 paired to an automatic transmission, and while it's been sitting for a few years, both the engine and the 400 transmission were gone through before it was parked. It does have a lifter tick, and it hasn't been run much lately, but it's not a dead project. The exterior keeps that iconic muscle car presence, long hood, wide stance, unmistakable Trans Am styling. It's not perfect and definitely needs work, but a lot of important brake components have already been replaced, including calipers, rubber lines, master cylinder, and wheel cylinders. Ignition parts like distributor, wires, and plugs have also been addressed. With some mechanical sorting and attention, this could be a solid driver again. The seller says it will drive onto a trailer, which is a good sign. For restoration potential, this is an affordable entry into classic Trans Am ownership, whether you keep it as a rough street machine or bring it back to full glory. At $3,500 OBO, it's a budget-friendly way to get into real 70s American muscle. Alright, let's move on to the next classic. Number 5. 1963 Oldsmobile Super 88 Holiday, priced at $2,600. This is early 60s American full-size style at its finest. The 1963 Oldsmobile Holiday Super 88 is all about chrome, long body lines, and that smooth hardtop four-door look with no center pillar. Finished in silver with a blue interior, it has that classy, understated presence that really stands out today. Under the hood sits the original 394 cubic inch rocket V8 with a 4-barrel carburetor. The car is currently not running, but the motor does turn over, which is always a good starting point. It's an all-original car with the title in hand and under the seller's name. That's a big plus for any classic project. With just over 66,000 miles showing, this Oldsmobile has serious restoration potential. Imagine bringing that 394 back to life, pairing it with the smooth automatic transmission, and cruising in a true vintage land yacht. These cars were built for comfort, soft ride, plenty of space, and effortless highway cruising. At $2,600, this is an affordable entry into early 60s V8 ownership. It needs work, yes, but for someone looking for a solid foundation in classic style, this could be a rewarding revival project. Alright, let's roll into the next classic. Number 6, 1989 Jaguar XJS V12 Coupe, priced at $3,500. 1989 Jaguar XJS V12 Coupe, priced at $3,500. This is classic British Grand Touring style with a serious engine under the hood. The long hood, sleek coupe profile, and white over blue color combo give this XJS that unmistakable late 80s luxury vibe. Underneath the hood sits a V12 paired with a 3-speed automatic transmission. It's been in storage for several years, but the big news is it runs and drives. That's huge for a V12 Jaguar at this price point. It does have brake and power steering fluid leaks, so it's not perfect, but it's a driving project. With just over 104,000 miles, this car still has that smooth Grand Touring character. When sorted, these V12s deliver silky acceleration and a quiet, refined highway feel. It's not a sports car in the raw sense, it's more about effortless cruising. As a restoration or revival project, this could be a rewarding one. Fix the leaks, refresh the systems after storage, and you'd have an affordable entry into classic Jaguar V12 ownership. At $3,500, it's a tempting way to step into vintage European luxury. Alright, let's move on to the next classic. Number 7, 1978 Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme, priced at $6,800. 1978 Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme, priced at $6,800. Now this is peak late 70s street style. A 1978 Cutlass Supreme T-top finished in bright orange with a brown interior. That combo alone screams classic boulevard cruiser. The gold spokes you see in photos aren't included, but it comes with the original stock rims, keeping it true to its roots. Under the hood sits the original V8 paired with an automatic transmission. It runs and drives, and with a new starter and new battery, you can jump in and fire it right up. It's got true dual exhaust, so expect the deep, old-school V8 tone when you hit the throttle. The interior has been redone and is in really good shape. Already wired for music with custom speakers running front to back. All the glass and T-tops are good, and it's been stored over the winter. There is some bubbling starting below the vinyl top and minor spots in the inner fender wells, but nothing major. On the road, these Cutlasses are smooth, comfortable, and built for cruising. It's not about speed, it's about style and presence. As a restoration candidate, this one feels more like a light cosmetic refresh than a full rebuild. Clean title, solid drivetrain, and mostly complete. That's a strong starting point. At $6,800 cash, it's a clean entry into classic G-body ownership. Alright, let's move on to the next classic. Number 8, 1982 Chevrolet Camaro Coupe 2D, priced at $4,500. 1982 Chevrolet Camaro Coupe 2D, priced at $4,500. This is the start of the third-gen Camaro era, and it still carries that sharp early -80s muscle look. Finished in silver with a charcoal interior, this 82 Coupe keeps things simple and raw. Manual windows, manual locks, no radio. Just you and the machine. Under the hood sits a 305 small block Chevy that was freshened up about 2 years ago. It's running an HEI distributor, Holley 650 carburetor, and Hedman headers, paired with a TH350 automatic transmission. The seller says it runs and drives good, and that combo gives it a nice old-school V8 feel with a bit more breathing thanks to the carbon headers. With just 22,000 miles showing, it's an interesting find, though it has had multiple owners. Mechanically, it sounds solid and ready to cruise. These early third-gens are lighter than the 70s cars, so with a healthy 305, they can be surprisingly fun on the street. As a project, this could go a few directions. Keep it as a clean driver, build it into a mild street machine, or even swap in something bigger down the road. The foundation is there. At $4,500 OBO, it's an affordable way to jump into classic Camaro ownership without breaking the bank. Alright, let's move on to the next classic. Number 9, 1974 Chevrolet El Camino, priced at $9,000. 1974 Chevrolet El Camino, priced at $9,000. Now this is where classic style meets modern muscle. A 74 El Camino finished in red with a black interior, already a cool platform, but under the hood, things get serious. It's been swapped with a 5.3 Gen 4 LS, paired with a BTR red hot cam and upgraded valve train. That alone tells you this isn't just a cruiser, it's built to move. The engine has been re-ringed with new cam and main bearings, running a brawler carb setup and backed by an automatic transmission with a 2800 stall converter. There's even a wideband sensor installed, which shows attention to tuning and performance. This is a thoughtfully built street machine. Condition-wise, it shows minimal rust for its age, which is impressive for a mid-70s GM body. The only noted issue is the stock fuel gauge not working, so an aftermarket unit would need to be installed. On the road, expect strong throttle response and that unmistakable cammed LS chop at idle. The 2800 stall should make launches feel aggressive while still being streetable. As a project, most of the heavy lifting is already done. This isn't a restoration candidate, it's more of a dial it in and enjoy it build. At $9,000, you're getting classic El Camino looks with modern LS performance. Alright, let's move on to the next classic. Number 10, 1960 Nash Metropolitan, priced at $7,500. Now this is something completely different from the usual American muscle we talk about. The 1960 Nash Metropolitan is small, quirky, and full of personality. Finished in blue with a black interior, it has that charming, almost European-inspired compact look that stands out instantly at any car meet. Mechanically, this one is said to be sound and recently serviced. It's got a new fuel pump, new fuel lines and filter, and a freshly rebuilt carburetor. On top of that, it's riding on new tires, which means it's ready to be enjoyed. The manual transmission makes it even more engaging. This is a car you actually drive, not just cruise in. The body is described as good overall, with only minor bubbling in older paint. The seats have been reupholstered, and the undercarriage reportedly shows no rot, which is huge for a car of this age. On the road, expect light steering, simple mechanics, and a pure vintage driving experience. It's not fast, but it's fun, approachable, and guaranteed to make people smile. As a restoration candidate, it really doesn't need a full rebuild. It's more of a tidy up and enjoy classic. Freshen the paint down the road, keep up with maintenance, and you've got a unique little collector piece. At $7,500, this is an affordable way to own a truly distinctive 1960s classic. Alright, let's move on to the next classic. Number 11, 1940 Cadillac LaSalle Series 52, priced at $7,995. Now this is pre-war American elegance at its finest. The 1940 LaSalle carries that long, flowing body design with bold fenders and classic vertical grille styling that instantly tells you this is from a different era. Finished in black with a beige cloth interior, it has a timeless, almost formal presence on the road. Under the hood sits a V8 engine paired with a 3-speed manual transmission on the tree. That column shift setup gives you a truly authentic driving experience, mechanical, connected, and completely different from anything modern. With just over 101,000 miles, it's described as being in very good condition, and it presents as a well-preserved piece of history. Inside, the cloth interior adds warmth and sophistication. The classic dashboard layout, large steering wheel, and simple gauges remind you that this car was built when driving was an event, not just transportation. Hubcaps complete the look, keeping it period correct and elegant. On the road, expect smooth, steady cruising rather than speed. This is about rolling down Main Street, waving to people, and enjoying the slow rhythm of a 1940s sedan. It's not just transportation, it's an experience. As a restoration prospect, it really doesn't need a full rebuild. It sounds like a preserved classic that could be maintained and enjoyed as is. Maybe with light cosmetic detailing to keep it sharp. At $7,995, you're buying more than a car, you're stepping into a genuine piece of Cadillac's early luxury heritage. Alright, let's move on to the next classic. Number 12. 1955 Chrysler Windsor Deluxe, priced at $2,500. Now this is mid-50s American style with serious presence. The 55 Windsor Deluxe comes finished in red with a black interior, and when you look at those sweeping body lines and classic chrome details, it just screams vintage Mopar elegance. Under the hood sits a 301 V8 paired with an automatic transmission and power steering, which was a big deal back in 1955. The best part? After sitting for years, it now runs fantastic. It fires right up, no smoke, no scary noises, and no engine leaks. It's even running off the original fuel tank. The transmission is described as strong, and it's already been driven around a parking lot successfully. Mechanically, most of the major systems are working, lights, gauges, and power steering all function, though there's a small line leak. The brakes work but still need to be taken apart and cleaned. There's also a small manifold leak on the passenger side that goes away once warm. Rust is present along the lower sections and floors, so it's not rust-free, but it's manageable. On the road, once sorted, this would be a smooth, comfortable cruiser with that unmistakable 1950s V8 rumble. It's not about speed, it's about style and nostalgia. As a project, this is the kind of car that's already past the hard part, getting it to run. Clean title in hand, solid drivetrain, and a price that leaves room in the budget to finish it right. At $2,500, this is an affordable gateway into true 1950s American V8 ownership. Alright, let's move on to the next classic. Number 13, 1973 Chevrolet Camaro Coupe 2D, priced at $5,800. Now this is a proper project with serious potential. This 73 Camaro is being offered as a roller, but don't let that scare you, a lot of the hard work has already been done. It comes with a clean title, and the seller mentions the underside is totally solid with nothing more than minor surface rust. That's huge for a car of this era. Up front, the suspension has been completely rebuilt and upgraded with Ride-Tech dual-rate 2-inch drop springs, giving it a more aggressive stance and improved handling. Out back, it's running a rebuilt 10-bolt rear end with 3.23 gears and a locker, a great street-friendly setup that can still hook when you need it to. It's sitting on well drag lights with 275s in the rear and skinnier fronts, giving it that classic muscle car rake. The exterior is currently tan, with the last photo showing the original factory color. Inside, you've got an off-white interior that keeps things clean and vintage. Odometer shows 12,345 miles, and it's set up for an automatic, previously running a TH350. It even comes with a .040 over 350 block, side pipes, manual pedals, driveshaft, and a trans crossmember, so you've got options. Driving-wise, once finished, this would be a raw, old-school Camaro experience. Low stance, strong rear gears, side pipes, it's the kind of car that sounds as good as it looks. As a restoration or build project, this is actually a solid foundation. Structurally sound, upgraded suspension, good rear end, you're not starting from scratch. Whether you go pro touring, drag-inspired, or full factory restoration, the bones are there. At $5,800, including the extra engine parts, it's a pretty fair entry point into second-gen Camaro ownership, especially with upgrades already in place. Alright, let's see what classic we're checking out next. Number 14, 1953 Buick Special, priced at $9,000. Now this right here is pure early -50s American style. The 1953 Buick Special carries that unmistakable post-war design language, big chrome, sweeping body lines, and a presence that feels substantial even standing still. Finished in blue with a bold red interior, this one really captures that classic two-tone era vibe. Under the hood, it runs and drives perfectly according to the seller. It starts easily, stops confidently, and all the lights and signals are functioning. That's exactly what you want to hear with a classic like this, something you can actually hop in and enjoy right away. The frame is said to be 96% perfect, which is impressive for a car that's over 70 years old. The paint dates back to around 2000, and while it's not brand new, it still presents well as a nice driver. There's just one small rust spot under the driver's rear door, minor and manageable. The chrome, especially on the lower bumper and door handles, is described as clean, and that bright work is such a big part of what makes a 53 Buick stand out. With 68,000 miles on the odometer and an automatic transmission, this Special feels like a comfortable cruiser. On the road, expect that smooth, floaty ride that 50s Buicks are known for, not built for speed, but built for style and comfort. It's the kind of car that turns every gas station stop into a conversation. As a restoration candidate, this one doesn't necessarily need a full teardown. It's more of a preservation piece or a light cosmetic refresh project. You could enjoy it as is and slowly improve it over time, maybe freshen up the paint, detail the engine bay, and just keep that classic charm alive. At $9,000, it sits in that sweet spot where you're getting a running, driving, solid 50s American sedan without diving into a full restoration budget. Alright, let's roll into the next classic. Number 15. 1979 Chevrolet Malibu Classic, priced at $6,000. 1979 Chevrolet Malibu Classic, priced at $6,000. Now this is a late -70s street machine with some serious attitude. The 79 Malibu Classic might look like a simple gray cruiser at first glance, but underneath, this thing is built. It's rocking that old-school two-tone vibe with a red pinstripe to match the beautiful red interior, and that combo just screams vintage muscle energy. Let's talk about what's under the hood. It's a 350 small block Chevy, bored .40 over, paired with a Holley 750 double pumper carb. It's backed by a TH350 transmission with a new shift kit and a 3,500 stall converter. Out back, you've got a 3.73 Posey rear end with Moser axles. That's not mild, that's a proper street and strip setup. It also comes with aftermarket suspension, new driveshaft and U-joints, upgraded radiator, new pulleys and belts, fresh rear main seal, and even an XL Racing oil pan. Mechanically, there's a lot of performance-oriented parts already installed. Now, it's not perfect. The carb needs cleaning, the battery is dead, and there are a few gasket leaks, transmission pan, oil pan, and exhaust manifold. There's minor rust and small dents on the body, the rear bumper needs re-welding, and some gauges still need to be hooked up. But the foundation is strong. With 70,000 miles showing and an automatic transmission, once sorted, this would be a loud, rowdy cruiser. That solid flat tappet cam and summit head kit mean it probably has a nice lopey idle. This isn't just transportation, it's personality on wheels. As a restoration or project car, this one leans more toward performance build than showroom restoration. Clean up the mechanical details, tidy up the interior, address the small rust spots, and you've got a very fun G-body platform with serious potential. At $6,000, considering the engine build and drivetrain setup alone, it's an interesting value for someone who wants a classic Malibu with real bite. Alright, let's see what classic we've got lined up next. Number 16, 1976 Chevrolet Suburban C10, priced at $6,500. 1976 Chevrolet Suburban C10 priced at $6,500. Now this is a full-size classic with serious presence. The 1976 Suburban C10 LT is big, bold, and unapologetically old school. Finished in orange with a brown interior, it has that unmistakable 70s truck vibe, rugged, square, and built like a tank. Under the hood, this one packs a 454 big block paired with a turbo 350 automatic transmission. That's a strong combo. The seller says it runs and drives good, which is exactly what you want from a vintage SUV like this. It also comes with a new carburetor, new master cylinder, booster, rotors, and brakes, so some important maintenance items have already been handled. With 86,000 miles on the clock, this Suburban feels like a solid survivor. These trucks weren't built for speed, they were built for torque, hauling, and cruising comfortably with the whole family. The 454 gives it that deep, classic big block rumble, and paired with an automatic, it should feel smooth and effortless on the road. Design-wise, the 76 Suburban carries that iconic square body look. Flat hood, wide grille, long roofline, it's got presence. The orange exterior gives it character, and the brown interior keeps it period correct and warm. This is the kind of vehicle that stands out at any classic car meet. As for restoration potential, this could go a few different directions. You could keep it as a solid driver and enjoy it as is. Or take it further, maybe fresh paint, updated interior details, mild suspension upgrades, and turn it into a clean classic cruiser or even a retro overland style build. At $6,500, for a running, driving big block Suburban with recent brake work, it's an interesting entry point into vintage full-size Chevy ownership. Alright, let's move on and see what classic we've got next. Number 17, 1980 Chevrolet Camaro Z28, priced at $8,999. 1980 Chevrolet Camaro Z28, priced at $8,999. Now we're talking late second-gen muscle with some serious upgrades. This 1980 Camaro Z28 comes out of Nevada and it's far from stock. Finished in blue with a black interior, it keeps that aggressive Z28 identity but adds a more performance-focused twist. Under the hood is a freshly built 350 small block with flat-top pistons and dart heads, and the seller even has the full build sheet specs. That's always a good sign. It's paired with a 200R4 automatic transmission, giving it better highway drivability compared to the original 3-speed setups. So you're getting power and usability in one package. The entire body has been sandblasted and repainted, which suggests a solid refresh underneath. It rides on original Z28 wheels, keeping some of that factory DNA intact. Inside, though, things get more serious: adjustable racing seats, seatbelt harnesses, and even a half cage. This isn't just a cruiser, it leans toward street and strip vibes. It also includes new hinge pins, trim pieces, exhaust components, and an Alpine head unit with kicker speakers and subwoofer hookup. So it's got both performance and a bit of modern sound system comfort. With 47,000 miles showing an automatic transmission, this Z28 feels like a well-rounded build. On the road, expect strong throttle response from that built 350, a deeper exhaust tone, and a tighter, more aggressive feel compared to a stock car. As a restoration candidate, this one isn't about going back to factory original, it's already evolved. It's more of a finished performance project that you refine and personalize. Clean it up, dial it in, maybe fine-tune suspension, and you've got a sharp 80s muscle machine. At $8,999, considering the built engine, transmission upgrade, and cage setup, its position is a serious enthusiast car rather than just an entry-level classic. Alright, let's move on and check out the next classic ride. Number 18, 1951 Chevrolet Sedan 4D, priced at $2,500. 1951 Chevrolet Sedan 4D, priced at $2,500. This is early 50s simplicity at its finest. Finished in black over black, this 1951 Chevy sedan carries that smooth, rounded post-war styling with wide fenders and a clean, understated grille. It's the kind of body style that hot rodders have loved for decades. The seller says it's running, driving, and stopping, which is always a plus. It has a manual transmission and shows 45,000 miles. However, it's being sold as a parts car and comes with no title, so that's an important factor to consider. Condition-wise, think of this as a solid foundation rather than a finished classic, because it runs and moves under its own power. It could serve as a great donor car for a custom build, rat rod, or full restoration project. On the road, these old Chevys offer a raw, mechanical driving experience, simple steering, classic 3-on-the-tree feel, and that unmistakable vintage vibe. At $2,500, it's positioned more as an opportunity than a turnkey classic. Whether you part it out, build a hot rod, or take on the challenge of bringing it fully back to life, the potential is there. Alright, let's move on to the next classic. Number 19, 1970 Volkswagen Beetle, priced at $3,500. 1970 Volkswagen Beetle, priced at $3,500. You can't talk about classic cars without mentioning the Beetle. This 1970 Volkswagen Beetle, finished in bright yellow with a tan interior, has that instantly recognizable shape that's been loved for generations. Rounded fenders, compact body, simple chrome details, it's pure vintage charm. Now, this one is definitely a project. The 1.8T engine doesn't currently run, but it does turn over and isn't seized, which is a very good sign. The seller mentions the oil has been changed, and it comes with a battery. It will need a trailer, so this isn't a drive-at-home situation, but the title is ready, with 92,468 miles and a manual transmission. This Beetle keeps that classic hands-on driving feel. When sorted, these cars are lightweight, simple, and surprisingly fun. You feel everything: the road, the steering, the gear changes, and that's part of the magic. Condition-wise, there's a little rust, but overall it's fairly clean for its age. That makes it a solid candidate for either a stock-style restoration or a mild custom build. Beetles have massive aftermarket support, so parts availability is one of the easiest in the classic car world. At $3,500, it's positioned as a true project opportunity. If you've been looking for a classic VW platform to build something cool without spending a fortune up front, this could be it. Alright, let's move on to the next classic ride. Number 20. 1973 Plymouth Duster, priced at $8,995. 1973 Plymouth Duster, priced at $8,995. Now this is pure Mopar attitude. A 1973 Duster, finished in blue with a black interior, and it's a factory 4-speed car that alone makes it interesting. It also features the fold-down rear seat, giving it that cool space-saver practicality mixed with muscle car vibes. Under the hood, you've got options. The main setup includes a rebuilt 318, but there's also a 360 said to be built to handle a supercharger. On top of that, the seller has a 73 340 short block and another 318 with J-heads. If you want all 4 engines, that package jumps to $12,000. Serious Mopar inventory right there, with 100,000 miles and a manual transmission. This Duster promises that raw, connected driving feel. 4-speed muscle cars just hit different: clutch in, grab a gear, and let that small block sing. Condition-wise, it's described as very solid, making it a strong candidate for either a clean street build or a more aggressive performance project. The blue-on-black combo keeps it classic and timeless. At $8,995, its position is a solid, no-haggle Mopar project with serious potential, especially for someone who loves having engine options.